Um, Also wanted to make a quick note about the deadlift just to kind of provide a framework for thinking about it for the future. So, um, when you are learning how to deadlift for the first time in like a CrossFit class, it's fairly typical that people are going to tell you you need to keep your shins only slightly forward, and in many cases, actually perpendicular. So this would be your starting position, of course. And the edit that you've made is that you've said, okay, so this feels like fine, but I feel a little better having my knees bent more. And so that means that when you're coming up, you're doing just the slightest bit of like a butt rise as you trace around your knees, instead of having like a straight line right off the floor. So I just want to say that like the second version, the edit that you've made is more weightlifty, and that's totally fine to be deadlifting that way. And it makes a lot of sense that you're feeling more legs than back there because, of course, lift with your legs, not with your back, really just involves like bending your legs more, right? So the note that I put is mostly that there's just grounds for doing any and all of that. So there may come a time where I say, okay, we're going to work on a stiff-legged deadlift. And that really means like you're totally stiff leg. And yes, you're going to feel this more in your back and sometimes more in the proximal hamstrings. The other thing that you can mess around with, though, if you wanted to go back to doing more of a straight shin pulling pattern, is where your weight is in your feet as you begin the drive. So what I mean by that is when you're going to bend your shins, all you're really doing in a lot of ways is not just like setting the back down, but you're also shifting your weight more forward into the middle of the foot. And for many people, when you're set up in this like shin perpendicular position, when you look at their toes, you'll see that there's actually like a little bit of a slight lift here, when really what we want is shins can be perpendicular, but still having that full contact through the whole of the foot so that you're not just pulling from this like drifted back position. So I do kind of wonder, especially because you've got those limitations in your feet that we've kind of looked at before, if just point blank, if you messed around with like, well, where is my weight actually as I begin the drive into the ground off the floor? I wonder if you would feel okay with a more perpendicular shin, because from a powerlifting perspective, the only other reason that we're wanting to keep that like straight line of drive is because obviously the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So the argument from a more powerlifting perspective is going to be that that will save you energy when it comes to maximizing the pull. So just throwing out some ideas and some things to work with, since this is a primary goal of yours. You can play around with it, or you can stick with whatever already feels comfortable, but obviously just there you go. Let me know if you have any other questions or concerns about that.